I saw it in his hand before I realized what he was holding. And in that moment, everything inside me dropped. Because I knew exactly what it was. And more importantly, I knew exactly where it came from. I just didn't think he'd be the one to find it. It was such a small thing. Something most people would have thrown away without thinking twice. Something that shouldn't have mattered. But it did. Because it didn't belong in my life. Not the life I had with him. And the second I saw it in Daniel's hand, I knew there was no way to explain it. No way to make it make sense. No way to undo what had already been done. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. If I'm being honest. It wasn't supposed to happen at all. But things like this don't start with a decision. They start small. So small you can ignore them. So small you can convince yourself they don't mean anything. And then one day, they mean everything. His name was Marcus. And it didn't feel wrong at first. That's the part I keep coming back to. Not because it excuses anything, but because it explains how easy it was to keep going. We worked in the same building, different departments. At first, it was just coincidence. Passing each other in the hallway, making the same jokes everyone makes when they don't really know each other. Long day? Always. It was nothing, until it wasn't. Because conversations got longer, more intentional. We started timing our breaks the same, finding reasons to run into each other. And somewhere in the middle of that, it shifted. Not all at once. Just enough that I noticed it, and chose to ignore it. That was the part that mattered. Not the moment it started, but the moment I realized what it was becoming. And didn't stop it, because I told myself I had control. That I could keep it separate. That it didn't affect anything else. That it didn't change how I felt about Daniel. I told myself a lot of things. None of them were true. Daniel trusted me. Not in a way he had to prove. Not in a way he talked about. It was just there. In everything. And I didn't realize how much that mattered. Until I broke it. At first, it was just messages. Harmless. At least that's how I justified it. Nothing obvious. Nothing that crossed a clear line. But lines don't stay clear for long. And once they blur, it's easy to step over them. And then, it's even easier to keep going. That day, everything felt normal. Too normal. Daniel had the day off. I wasn't supposed to. I might go in for a few hours, I told him that morning. He didn't question it. He never did. All right, he said, don't work too hard. And that was it. No suspicion, no hesitation, just trust. Marcus texted me around noon. You free? I stared at the message longer than I should have. That familiar hesitation creeping in again. That quiet voice telling me to stop. And just like every other time, I ignored it. Yeah, I replied. One word. That's all it took. Because once I said it, everything else was already decided. We met at his place. Never mind. That was one of the rules I made for myself. Like that somehow made it better. Like it kept things separate. It didn't. Time moved differently when I was there. Faster. Like everything outside of it didn't exist. Like the rest of my life was something I could just step back into later. And for a while, I believed that. Until I couldn't anymore. When I left, everything felt normal again. Too easy. Too quiet. Like I had gotten away with something. And that was the problem. Because getting away with it once makes it easier to do it again. When I got home, Daniel was exactly where I expected him to be. On the couch, watching TV. Hey, he said, glancing up. Hey, I replied, forcing a smile. And just like that, I stepped back into the version of my life that was supposed to be real. I put my bag down, took off my shoes, moved through the space like nothing had changed. But something had. I just didn't realize how obvious it was. "I'm going to take a shower," I said. "Okay," Daniel replied. Still normal. Still calm. And that's when everything fell apart. I had left it in my jacket pocket. And I had thrown that jacket over the back of a chair, right next to him. I didn't think about it. Not until I was halfway down the hallway. Not until I heard his voice. "Hey." Everything inside me froze. There was something in his tone, something that didn't belong there. "Yeah?" I said, turning slowly. And then I saw it. In his hand. That small, stupid piece of paper. The receipt. From a place I had never been with him. A place I had only gone once. With Marcus. And in that moment, I knew. This was it. "Where is this from?" Daniel asked. His voice was calm. Too calm. My mind started racing instantly. Looking for something. Anything. A way to fix it. "Work," I said. Too fast. Too automatic. Daniel looked at me, then at the receipt, then back at me. And I saw it. He didn't believe me. Not even a little. "Work?" he repeated. I nodded, trying to make it sound real. Trying to make it sound like something that hadn't just fallen apart the second I said it. "Yeah," I said. "We went out for lunch." Even as the words left my mouth, I could feel them failing, because something had already changed. Daniel stood up slowly, still holding the receipt. "Funny," he said. My chest tightened. "Why?" I asked. "Because I called you earlier." Everything inside me dropped. "You didn't answer." I couldn't move. "So I called the office," he continued. My heart started pounding harder. "And they said you weren't there." Silence. Complete. Because now, there was nothing left. No lie to hide behind. No explanation that worked. Just the truth. Sitting there between us. Daniel looked at me, and I saw it happen. That moment, the exact second everything shifted. "Do you want to try again?" he asked. Not angry, not yelling, just done. And I knew. This was it, the last chance I was going to get. And for the first time, I didn't try to lie. "I didn't go to work," I said. My voice felt distant, like it didn't belong to me. "I know," Daniel replied. Silence again. Heavy. "There's someone else," I added. Saying it out loud felt worse than anything else, because now it was real. Daniel nodded slowly, like he had already figured it out. "How long?" he asked. "A few months," I said. The truth. Finally. And somehow, that made it worse. Because now there was nothing left to soften it. Nothing left to hide. Daniel looked down at the receipt. Then back at me. "I trusted you," he said. And that was it. Not yelling. Not anger, just that. And somehow, that hurt more than anything else. Because I knew. I had broken something that wasn't coming back. That night, he packed a bag. Not everything, just enough. "I'm staying with my brother," he said. I nodded, because there was nothing else to say. And then he left. Just like that. No fight, no argument. Just gone. The silence after he left felt heavier than anything before it. Because now, there was nothing to distract me from it. No excuses, no justifications, just the reality of what I had done. Marcus texted me later that night. "Everything okay?" I stared at the message, and for the first time, I didn't know how to answer. Because nothing about it was okay. And whatever I thought I had with him didn't feel worth it anymore. I didn't respond. Days passed, then a week. Daniel didn't come back, didn't call, didn't text, and I didn't reach out. Because I knew there was nothing left to fix, nothing left to say. And eventually, the reality settled in. I hadn't just gotten caught. I had lost everything. Not in one moment, but in all the small ones leading up to it. And in the end, that's what stayed with me. Not the receipt, not the lie, but the moment he found it, before I could hide it. Because that wasn't when everything fell apart. That was just the moment I finally had to face it.